Thick alien blood dripped down his razor-sharp knife as Primus sliced the Xenorian quail eggs. He scraped the eggs into the sizzling pan while glaring at the human diplomat. Searing the eggs with intense heat, the Daxamite chef's rage made his tentacles shake. But little did Primus know, one bite of human food would utterly shatter his reality and make him question everything. For decades, Zeta-9 space station bustled with chatter in its 200 food halls. Countless aliens dined on every imaginable cuisine. Yet the renowned restaurant Nebula's Delight packed in discriminating foodies, all craving innovative fusion dishes by the legendary Chef Primus. Then one day everything changed. A human diplomat named Donald Adams arrived to negotiate a critical trade deal. The Galactic Alliance's economy hinged on the talks. Billions of tons of needed food and resources hung in the balance. Failure meant starvation for trillions. During a tense break in negotiations, Donald wandered Zeta-9's busy corridors and found himself outside Nebula's Delight. Intrigued, he went inside and ordered Primus's most popular fusion dishes. Chef Primus himself, confident in his legendary skills, prepared and served the meal. The food looked colorful, artistic, carefully constructed. Yet after a single bite, a confused frown crept onto Donald's face. He chewed slowly. He pushed the plates aside. Primus's heart sank. "What's wrong, human? You dare insult the great Primus, master of galactic cuisine?" His tentacles flailed in outrage as he confronted Donald. But the diplomat's next words would flip Primus's universe upside down. "Donald, I must know everything about human cuisine," Primus exclaimed, his tentacles waving with excitement. "What ingredients do you use? How do you prepare your dishes? I've never tasted anything like it." Donald chuckled at the chef's enthusiasm. "Well, Primus, on Earth, we have a vast array of culinary traditions. Each region has its own unique flavors and techniques." Primus leaned in closer, his eyes wide with curiosity. "Tell me more." "Take India, for example," Donald began. "They have a rich history of using spices like cumin, coriander, and turmeric to create complex, aromatic curries. The flavors are bold and intense, yet perfectly balanced." Primus nodded, absorbing every word. "And then there's Italy," Donald continued. "They're known for their pasta dishes like spaghetti carbonara or fettuccine alfredo. The key is using fresh, high-quality ingredients and letting their natural flavors shine through." "Fascinating," Primus murmured. "But what about the emotions and memories you mentioned?" Donald smiled. "That's the beauty of human cuisine. It's not just about the taste, but the experiences and stories behind each dish. A simple bowl of chicken soup can bring back memories of a loved one's comfort during a childhood illness. A slice of apple pie can evoke the warmth of a family gathering." Primus was silent for a moment, contemplating the depth of human food culture. "I want to learn more," he said finally. "I want to experience it for myself." Days later, as the trade negotiations concluded, Donald approached Primus with an invitation. "Why don't you come to Earth and see our culinary wonders firsthand? I can show you around, introduce you to some of our best chefs." Primus hesitated, torn between his thriving career on Zeta-9 and his newfound passion for human cuisine. He thought of his loyal patrons, his fellow chefs, the reputation he had built over the years. But the allure of exploring a whole new world of food was too strong to resist. "I'll do it," Primus declared. "I'm going to Earth." The news of Primus's decision spread quickly through Nebula's Delight. His Daxamite colleagues were shocked and dismayed. "So you're throwing away your career for some primitive human food?" one chef scoffed. "Have you lost your mind?" "For they don't even have tentacles," another exclaimed. "How can they possibly create anything worth eating?" But Primus stood firm in his resolve. "True culinary greatness lies in exploring new frontiers," he argued. "Human cuisine may be different, but that's exactly why I need to learn from it. It could unlock a whole new level of creativity and innovation in our galactic culinary scene." As Primus packed his bags, he felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. He was leaving behind everything he knew, everything he had worked for, but the promise of discovering the secrets of human food and culture drove him forward. With a final goodbye to his old life, Primus set off on his journey to Earth, ready to embrace whatever challenges and revelations lay ahead. As the spacecraft touched down on the bustling streets of New York City, Primus felt a rush of excitement and anticipation. The towering skyscrapers and the cacophony of sounds were unlike anything he had experienced on Zeta 9. Donald greeted him with a warm smile and a firm handshake, guiding him through the crowded sidewalks to a quaint brownstone in the heart of the city. "Primus, meet Gino and Tony." Donald introduced the Daxamite chef to a silver-haired man and his son. "They'll be your hosts during your stay here." Gino, a retired chef with a twinkle in his eye, embraced Primus like an old friend. "Welcome to our home, Primus. We've heard so much about you from Donald. It's an honor to have you here." Tony, a young man with a friendly grin, chimed in, "We can't wait to show you around the city and introduce you to all the amazing food we have here." Primus felt a warmth spreading through his tentacles. "Thank you for your hospitality. I'm eager to learn everything I can about human cuisine." Over the next few days, Primus immersed himself in the vibrant culinary scene of New York City. He wandered through the bustling streets, marveling at the sheer variety of food available at every turn. From the sizzling hot dogs at street carts to the elegant dishes served in high-end restaurants, Primus sampled it all. "This is incredible," Primus exclaimed as he bit into a slice of pizza from a famous pizzeria. "The combination of flavors, the texture of the crust, I've never tasted anything like it." Gino chuckled. "That's just the beginning, my friend. Wait until you try the pastrami sandwiches from Katz's Deli or the dim sum in Chinatown." As Primus explored the city's markets, he encountered ingredients he had never seen before. Exotic fruits, pungent cheeses, and an array of spices filled his senses. He listened intently as Gino explained the history and cultural significance behind each dish they tried. "You see, Primus," Gino said as they sampled a bowl of ramen, "food is more than just sustenance for humans. It's a way to connect with our heritage, to share stories and traditions with each other." Primus nodded, his tentacles twitching with excitement. "I'm beginning to understand that now. The emotions and memories tied to each dish are just as important as the ingredients themselves." Under Gino's guidance, Primus delved into the fundamentals of human cooking techniques and flavor combinations. He learned about the delicate balance of sweet, sour, salty, and bitter flavors, and how to create depth and complexity in his dishes. But it was the concept of umami that truly captivated Primus. "This savory taste, it's unlike anything we have on Zeta 9, he marveled as he tasted a dish of sautéed mushrooms. "I can't wait to experiment with these flavors in my own recipes." As Primus immersed himself in the world of human cuisine, he started documenting his journey on a blog. He shared his experiences, his successes, and his failures with a growing audience of both humans and aliens. "Today I learned about the importance of family recipes," Primus wrote in one post. "Gino shared with me a dish that has been passed down through his family for generations. The love and care that goes into each bite is palpable." Primus's unique perspective as an alien chef, exploring human cuisine, quickly gained attention from food enthusiasts and media outlets around the world. Interviews and invitations to collaborate with renowned chefs flooded his inbox. But not everyone was thrilled with Primus's newfound passion. Back on Zeta 9, a group of Daxamite traditionalists launched a smear campaign against him, accusing him of betraying his own culture. "Primus has abandoned his roots," they proclaimed on galactic news channels. "He's selling out to primitive alien influences and turning his back on centuries of Daxamite culinary tradition." Primus sighed as he read the latest article attacking his character. "I knew this wouldn't be easy," he confided in Gino and Tony, "but I won't let their narrow-mindedness stop me from pursuing my passion." Gino placed a reassuring hand on Primus's shoulder. "Don't let them get to you, Primus. You're doing something brave and important here. Keep pushing forward, and the truth will shine through." With renewed determination, Primus threw himself into his culinary journey, eager to learn and grow with each passing day. The streets of New York City had become his classroom, and the flavors of human cuisine his greatest teacher. Primus scrolled through the scathing comments on his blog, his tentacles twitching with frustration. The Daxamite traditionalists were relentless in their attacks, accusing him of betraying his heritage and succumbing to the influence of primitive alien cuisine. But Primus refused to let their narrow-minded criticisms deter him. He had tasted the depth and complexity of human food, had experienced the emotions and stories woven into every dish. He knew that culinary innovation had no boundaries, and he was determined to prove it. "I'm going to enter the International Fusion Culinary Competition," Primus announced to Gino and Tony over breakfast. "I want to showcase the potential of combining human and Daxamite flavors to show that our cuisines can elevate each other to new heights." Gino's eyes sparkled with excitement. "That's a brilliant idea, Primus. The competition is one of the most prestigious in the world. If you win, it could change everything." Tony nodded in agreement. "We'll help you prepare, Primus. Whatever you need, we're here for you." Primus spent the next few weeks immersed in his kitchen, experimenting with bold new flavor combinations and techniques. He blended exotic Daxamite spices with umami-rich ingredients from Earth, creating dishes that danced on the tongue and ignited the senses. But as the competition drew nearer, Primus faced an unexpected challenge. A group of Daxamite extremists, enraged by his growing success and influence, had decided to take matters into their own hands. One night, as Primus worked late in his kitchen, he heard a loud crash. He rushed to investigate, only to find his carefully crafted dishes scattered across the floor, smashed and ruined. The extremists had broken in, determined to sabotage his efforts. Primus felt a wave of despair wash over him. With only days until the competition, he had little time to start over, but Gino and Tony refused to let him give up. "We'll help you rebuild, Primus," Gino said, placing a comforting hand on Primus's shoulder. "You've come too far to let these thugs win." Tony started making phone calls, rallying the support of their fellow chefs and food enthusiasts. Within hours, Primus's kitchen was filled with humans and aliens alike, all eager to lend a hand. They brought ingredients from their own kitchens, shared their favorite techniques, and regaled Primus with stories of their own culinary journeys. Primus was touched by the outpouring of support, realizing that the true essence of human cuisine lay not just in the food itself, but in the spirit of sharing and collaboration that underlay it. With renewed determination, Primus and his impromptu team worked tirelessly to recreate his dishes. They infused savory broths with exotic Daxamite spices, deconstructed classic human desserts using alien fruits, and crafted fusion dishes that married the flavors of two worlds. As the sun rose on the day of the competition, Primus arrived at the venue, his tentacles trembling with a mix of nerves and excitement. He watched as the other chefs presented their creations, each one more impressive than the last. Finally, it was Primus's turn. He took a deep breath and began to plate his dishes, the aromas of his unique fusion cuisine wafting through the air. The judges sampled each one, their expressions unreadable as they scribbled notes on their clipboards. Primus stood before them, his heart pounding in his chest. He knew that his reputation and the future of his culinary journey hung in the balance. As he waited for their verdict, he thought back to the incredible journey that had brought him to this moment. The flavors, the friendships, the challenges overcome. No matter what happened, Primus knew that he had found something special on Earth, a culinary world that had welcomed him with open arms and taught him the true meaning of innovation and collaboration. He closed his eyes, ready to embrace whatever fate had in store for him. The judges huddled together, whispering excitedly as they compared notes on Primus's dishes. Primus stood nervously, his tentacles twitching. He glanced over at Gino and Tony, who gave him encouraging smiles and thumbs up. After what felt like an eternity, the head judge, a renowned human chef with a stern face, stepped forward. "Primus, your dishes were simply extraordinary," she said, her face breaking into a genuine smile. The way you seamlessly blended Daxamite and human flavors, creating something entirely new and exciting. It was a revelation. The other judges nodded in agreement, their expressions full of admiration. Your umami-rich broth with those exotic spices was a masterpiece, one judge commented. And that deconstructed dessert using alien fruits, pure genius. Primus felt a rush of emotion, his eyes welling up with tears of joy. All his hard work, the challenges he had faced, the sacrifices he had made, it had all been worth it. We are proud to announce that Primus is the winner of this year's International Fusion Culinary Competition, the head judge declared, presenting him with a gleaming trophy. The audience erupted into applause, with Gino and Tony rushing forward to embrace Primus in a tight hug. News of Primus's victory spread like wildfire. Media outlets on Earth and Daxam scrambled to interview the rising star, hailing him as a culinary trailblazer and a symbol of unity between the two cultures. Primus, your story is an inspiration to us all, a human journalist gushed. How does it feel to be the bridge between human and alien cuisines? Primus, overwhelmed by the attention, tried to find the right words. I'm just grateful for the opportunity to share my passion with the world, he said humbly. Food has the power to bring people together, to break down barriers and foster understanding. That's what I hope to achieve through my cooking. Offers poured in from all corners of the galaxy. Renowned restaurants begged Primus to join their staff, TV networks clamored for him to host his own cooking show, and culinary institutes pleaded for him to share his knowledge with their students. But amidst the whirlwind of success, a dark cloud loomed on the horizon. Primus received a distressing message from his family back on Daxam. The extremists, enraged by his victory and the global acclaim he had garnered, had intensified their campaign of harassment and intimidation. They're boycotting our restaurant, Primus, his mother said, her voice trembling. They've turned the whole community against us. We're struggling to keep the business afloat. Primus felt a knot of anger and guilt in his stomach. He had been so focused on his own journey, on proving himself to the world, that he had forgotten about the impact his actions would have on his loved ones. He knew what he had to do. With a heavy heart, Primus bid farewell to Gino, Tony, and the vibrant culinary scene of Earth. He boarded a ship back to Daxam, determined to confront the extremists and defend his family's honor. As he stepped onto the soil of his home planet, Primus was greeted by a hostile crowd of Daxamite traditionalists. They jeered and shouted insults, calling him a traitor to his own kind. But Primus stood tall, his tentacles quivering with a mix of fear and determination. He marched straight to the headquarters of the extremist group, bursting through the doors and demanding an audience with their leader. You have no right to persecute my family for my choices, Primus said, his voice shaking with emotion. I am not a traitor. I am an ambassador, a bridge between two worlds that have so much to learn from each other. The extremist leader, a grizzled old Daxamite with a perpetual scowl, sneered at Primus. You have abandoned our ways, our traditions, he spat. You have embraced the primitive cuisine of these humans, and in doing so, you have weakened our species. Primus shook his head, a fire burning in his eyes. No, you are the ones who are weak, he retorted. You are so afraid of change, of new ideas, that you lash out at anyone who dares to challenge your narrow-minded views. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. I invite you, all of you, to a grand feast, he said, his voice growing stronger, a feast where I will prepare dishes that combine the best of Daxamite and human cuisine. Come with an open mind and an open palate, and let the food speak for itself. The extremists muttered amongst themselves, some scoffing at the invitation, others looking intrigued despite themselves. In the end, curiosity won out, and they agreed to attend Primus's feast. Primus spent the next few days preparing, pouring his heart and soul into every dish. He used Daxamite ingredients he had grown up with, blending them with human techniques and flavors he had learned on Earth. The day of the feast arrived, and the extremists gathered in Primus's family restaurant. He served them course after course, each one a masterpiece of culinary fusion. At first the extremists were hesitant, picking at the unfamiliar dishes with suspicion, But as they tasted the flavors, as they experienced the harmony of Daxamite and human elements working together, their faces began to change. They savored the rich umami broth, marveling at how the alien spices enhanced rather than overpowered the dish. They marveled at the delicate balance of sweet and savory in the deconstructed dessert, the alien fruits adding a new dimension to a classic human treat. As the meal progressed, the atmosphere in the room shifted. The extremists began to talk to each other, to share their thoughts on the food, to ask Primus questions about his techniques and inspirations. By the end of the feast, the barriers between them had started to crumble. The extremist leader, his scowl softened, approached Primus with a look of begrudging respect. "Perhaps we have been too quick to judge," he admitted. "Your food has shown us that there is value in embracing new ideas, in learning from other cultures." Primus felt a surge of hope. He knew that this was just the beginning, that there was still a long way to go in bridging the gap between Daxamites and humans. But he also knew that he had found his true calling. He returned to Earth, filled with a new sense of purpose. He established a non-profit organization dedicated to promoting cultural exchange through cuisine, hosting events and workshops that brought together chefs and food enthusiasts from across the galaxy. He traveled to different planets, learning about their culinary traditions and sharing his own knowledge. He became a symbol of unity, a living embodiment of the power of food to bring people together. As he looked back on his journey, Primus knew that it had been a difficult and often painful path. He had faced prejudice, sabotage, and personal sacrifice. But he also knew that every challenge had made him stronger, every setback had taught him a valuable lesson. And in the end, as he watched humans and aliens breaking bread together, laughing and learning from each other, he knew that it had all been worth it. He had played a small but significant role in bridging the gap between two worlds, one dish at a time. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.